meet your cousin. I know, things have been hard lately. Don't worry. Everything's going to be okay.
Your father's a scientist.
Was.
It feels bloody brilliant. I mean, we all know that that's sort of like a horror story unto itself, trying to get your first feature off the ground, and for such a cool script to land on my doorstep. I mean, yeah, it's fucking awesome. And yeah, couldn't have wished for anything more. I was actually working on something similarly to that for about 1.5 years, like thematically, back here in lockdown in LA. And when Grafted came through my inbox, it was almost like the gods had sent it to me, because it was so thematically similar to what I'd been like pouring all my energy into, that I was like, oh, this is an absolute hard yes for me. I mean, it was, you know, it was so important because we take hopefully the audience on a bit of a journey, and when things get really crazy, till things get really crazy. So that first scene, it's like, I think everyone has a founding moment on who they're going to become. And I think in order to kind of experience the journey in our kind of modern day, like you said, Mean Girls world, we really needed to understand Way's founding moment, so to speak. And it is horrific and gory, and I wanted to let everybody know that this is the ride you're going to be taking, but bear with us. Let's get to know her a little bit more in her present day. So yeah, it was really important, and obviously working with a younger version of herself as well, getting that right, you know, that was a really interesting journey. First of all, it's absolutely bonkers. I'll just tell you that. It's like, not only do you only have 25 shooting days, you're also working with young women in sometimes their first role to take on this epic journey, and not only that, like you said, play different versions of themselves and each other. I wasn't even sure that we'd be able to pull it off. First of all, Eden was just a no-brainer. I mean, I just love how much she is able to encompass this sort of Mean Girls aspect, but then really go into the deep, raw, violent version that she plays. And then it was really about creating a bridge between all of them. So we did some exercises, and I only had 2 rehearsal days with them. So we didn't have a long time. I was like, are we going to be able to pull this off? And I got them to kind of experience their journey together. So we sat in a group, and we got each of them to sort of talk about where they were at mentally. We kept going around in the group, and they would just bridge off each other's experiences. And then one of the other things was just the physicality of it all. Like, I thought about the evolution of man, and how, you know, those images of, you know, us Homo sapiens, you know, hunched over, and how we grow into these sort of humans in the sort of visual sense. And for me, that was really interesting, because I think Wei, she almost starts really small and she hides from the world, and by the end she's kind of flying. So it was sort of mapping out that kind of physicality of that journey as well between the 3 of them. And I'm just like amazed at, you know, what an impressive job they did. They were so much fun to work with. Yeah, I mean, that's so interesting. I never thought of The Wizard of Oz as a horror film, but you're absolutely right. You've just, my brain I think I was also late to the game because I basically freaked myself out around 13 with The Ring. I watched The Ring in the cinema, then I watched the Japanese version, then I went back to the cinema, and after that, I couldn't have a television in my room, I couldn't watch the TV turning off. Like, after that, my brain is too sensitive. But then as I got into my film career, I was like, you know what, I think I need to make a horror film and get over this, you know? So this was a very cathartic experience. But in terms of the color palette and everything, I actually I didn't want it to be, let's just say, I wanted the universe to be its own thing and to reflect this story, this coming of age, this kind of, you know, as you said, Carrie-ish kind of coming of age, a body horror film. And I felt like that world of pinks and pastels hopping against the red is a kind of candy-colored reflection of the end of innocence. And so I thought that was far more interesting than leaning into the many cool tropes of horror, which we did do. We went and saw houses that were sort of falling apart and dilapidated and like cool, creepy wallpaper. I just thought, you know, we've seen this before. How about we kind of really go hard into something that feels a little bit more fresh and a little bit more relevant to this story of like the ideal of beauty and the facades that we present to the world. So that's kind of how we came about with that. I mean, it is mental with the time constraints and the amount that we had to do. It was a lot of fun. It was very much, if you want to know the answer, it was a blend of the two. You know, our post house came in and just like took some certain elements to just the next level, which was a blessing because we could never have afforded the time or the money to like do that practically. But yeah, I mean, come on, like there's nothing better than, like, without giving too much away, a bubble of blood emerging from somebody's forehead before it starts to fall off. I mean, they're the highlights. When that all goes down, I mean, everyone just has so much fun with it. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, that's the key to body horror, right? It's basically, it's gore and sound, really.
Oh,
and
yeah.
That's the really fun part, trying to create the most visceral experience you can for the audience. And I mean, it's a testament to when you know it's not real because you're making it and you're still having the reaction, you know, then you know you got it. I mean, what I would say, when I saw it with an audience for the first time at the Chicago International Film Festival in this in the Music Box Theater, really old and beautiful theater, it was so exciting, was rather than specific moments, I think what people maybe weren't expecting is the humor in it. You'll have the whole crowd cringe with disgust and then burst into laughter, and that was really a fun kind of melody that I wanted to play with, you know, that kind of comic relief after something completely disturbing and disgusting. And I think the Mean Girls Face Off kind of analogy is really interesting because it kind of does lean into that satirical humor that is throughout it. But hopefully we don't ever sort of disappoint in terms of the disgust factor. We have just some really amazing icons of New Zealand actors in there. One of them is playing the neighbor next door, the nosy neighbor. And I just thought that, Eden's visceral, violent, hilarious sort of enjoyment playing this role of this beautiful blonde is so satisfying after you've seen how meek and shy she was at the beginning. And hidden bodies in tow in the darkness behind her. It's all very, definitely my favorite moment. Yeah, absolutely. I've thought about this a lot, actually, because I didn't go to film school. So I feel very passionately about people feeling like they can, take this route without going down the sort of traditional line. And one thing I would say, and it sounds annoying, but just make stuff. And I know that that sounds really hard. Like, how do I make stuff? First of all, you have a cell phone. Roger Rodriguez had to save 7,000, to save enough film to make El Mariachi by putting himself through medical experiments. We don't even need to do that. We literally can start with a cell phone. But second of all, if you're really lost, I've always thought that the most obvious way is find people who are already making short films, feature films, offer to get involved, offer to help out. It's a community-based art form, and the minute you insert yourself into other people's projects, you will learn so much. You can easily start to make contacts and connections with people who are also really creative and who you vibe off, and then start your own project. So you can't really do it alone. And I wish I'd done that sooner, actually,
Look at you. You look ridiculous.
What have you done?
Everyone is going to love me.